case you were wondering, I asked it to, thank you, Dwayne, because totally forgot that. Tell me briefly about the history of Lego. So I quite honestly did not really realize the full-on history of Lego, and how long it's actually been around. So I thought that was pretty cool. I love the pieces and parts. I have been like I know New York has a big Lego store that's pretty, fancy. Are there any other like super amazing locations where there's a big old Lego store? Anybody
Disney.
know of one?
Disney.
Well, Disney's is really crowded. I don't that one
Yeah.
stresses me out. That
So
one that
you
gets
can,
me really worked up.
so you can go obviously to Disney, right? Disney Springs, but there's also one in Lakeland at Legoland, right?
Okay.
And there's also one in the Mall of America in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've only been to Legoland once, and I have unfortunate, like, weird PTSD because Legoland didn't do it to me, but I ended up with like pneumonia 30 seconds later and was in the hospital down in Florida for like 8 days. And so that's all I think of when I think of Legoland. Carlos, what do you want to add?
A couple years ago, we worked really closely with Lego Education. So a
We
little,
did. Yeah.
little, little partnership there. We partnered together, Microsoft US Education with Lego Education. We were doing a ton of like all around STEM. It was very heavy on the K-12 side, but ironically, there were so many higher eds that were like all over this as well. If you guys have never heard of Lego Education, they have some really, really cool stuff around engineering, STEM, you name it, all things worth worth looking at if you're as hardcore Lego fans as as you guys seem to be in the chat. So I definitely got a real kick out of talking to them and learning more about what they do. So cool stuff.
And before I say next slide, oh, do you see Dwayne's eyes? I love it. No, wait, before I say next slide, hang on, go back. I just want to give Natalia, if you've ever met Natalia Tovar on our team, she's a superstar when it comes to Power Platform, Copilot Studio. She's really fantastic. Natalia knew, like, I was trying before I got really good at prompting. I could not make myself into a Lego character. Like, I could not do it. And so she did it for me, and I loved it so much. I sent it to Shutterfly and had it framed so it actually sits in a little baby frame on my regular background. But if you've never made yourself into a Lego character, I highly, highly suggest it. Okay, now you may next slide it, although I know you hate that. Everybody take an invisible shot when Dwayne, cringes or someone says it. But just quick agenda. We'll do some reminders and recaps. What's new with Copilot? The feature of the month. We're super, super pumped. If you are in the team, you saw this, and we did mention it, that it is PowerPoint. So will kick us off and introduce our speaker for that. Will, Carlos had an assessment of who he thought you looked like in this image that you've created. Now let's take some guesses in the chat. This was
I don't know if we have time for this, so I think we might need to just move on.
really, really fast. Somebody guess.
Oh gosh.
Who you think. It is a cartoon character villain. Anyone? Well, he thinks he looks like Gargamel from Smurfs. So, I don't know if you see it. Oh, and maybe if he had a longer nose, he could be Gru. But Carlos went with Gargamel. So, yes, we'll speed up. Sorry about that. Took way too much time. Carlos, you kick it off for the rest of it, and then we'll get into what's new.
All right, so this will be pretty fast over here. From the what's the purpose of this call, right? This Club Copilot. I want to make sure that everybody kind of understands. We keep this pretty generic all the way across. We want to make sure that we continue to have this kind of conversation as much as we possibly can. We're having a ton of fun in the process. We're always sharing like the latest, greatest, the news, the updates. We have a little section that's called Feature Focus, where we try to highlight one or two things that we want to make sure everybody knows that is here or it's coming. And then I want to also be very, very clear on what this is not. This is not a technical support. Hey, my Copilot's not working. If you feel the need to put it into the prompt, or sorry, not into the prompt, but into the actual chat, and want to share something with us and kind of troubleshoot together, hey, feel free to put whatever you want to the chat. But I just wanted to kind of like set expectations. That's not the purpose of this call. We can't get to all of these questions and things like that. If you want to talk to us a little bit like one-off, we'll be more than happy to do that. But that's not necessary for this call. Next slide, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we talked about last month. Just in case you missed it, the April recap was awesome, to the point where like I saved it. It is on my to-do list to watch this multiple times. It was a phenomenal call. The bar was set way too high. Just going to throw that out there. I'm excited to see what happens with PowerPoint. But from a Copilot for Excel, there's a link for the recording in there. If you are not, I know a lot of people are already on here because you have the link for this call, but you're not necessarily a part of the team. There is a Club Copilot team, a specific channel where we post all these recordings, we post all the presentations and things like that. So there's a hyperlink there in the bottom. All you have to do is click on this and fill out your information from the form, and you will be in there. And then the last thing is, because I know it's not clickable because we're sharing it a certain way, I'm sorry, we'll try to find the link and put it into the chat. But these 4 links seem to be the constant go-to links that you're going to want to make sure you bookmark. The roadmap stuff is constantly changing. News and insights, we have some stuff we're going to talk about today. I don't want to say anything, but it deals with a certain number plus. Get ready for that. It's going to be awesome. The official M365 education blog. And obviously, when you want to learn about all things M365, all things Office related, go to the Office Hours community. That is another group very similar to this one, with a lot more I'm gonna destroy the word. Shenanigans taking place. Fula. I can't say it.
Shenanafoolery, but I'm very proud of you for trying.
I tried. I get a C+. Okay. C-. Okay. So cool stuff. Just kind of make sure you guys are up to speed. Please, please, please. Just especially that April recap. Make sure you check out that recording if you missed it. It goes into insane details of prompts and things that you can try with Excel that you never even knew it could do with Copilot. Next. And that is not
Is
me.
it me? Or is it you?
Yep, this
I
is you,
thought you were still
Dwayne.
going. Oh, okay. It's me. Hey, everybody. Sorry I was late. Glad to drive the PowerPoint today for you. I'll drop these links. We had some pretty big news called the Wave 2 Spring Update. Apparently we didn't like to say just Wave 3. So you get the Wave 2 Spring Update, which is some pretty significant announcements and changes to the Copilot app itself. The Copilot app is changing, and also some of those updates apply to devices as well. For those of you that got a Copilot PC with a Copilot button on it, that is going to become a lot more useful in an enterprise environment. There were also some new laptops that were announced from the Surface side of the house. The designer inclusion into M365 Copilot is a pretty big deal. The ability to generate and create and add text and edit and, you know, make content directly inside the new Create experience. Copilot notebooks were added. This allows you to pull in Copilot chat conversations and files and other data points all into one nice little organized package to let you ask questions and chat about it. And also memory has been started to be announced, and I'm seeing it internally. Memory is going to let Copilot be personalized to you, but still done in a responsible way that does not train the foundational large language model, because that is kind of a big deal. We don't do that here. We do not train models based on your usage. If you've ever heard me talk about enterprise data protection, you've heard me say that numerous times. So one more for everybody in the back. We do not train large language models based on your usage. I did include a little screenshot here of what it will look like when you have a Copilot key and you push it, and your admins have mapped it to the M365 Copilot app on your computer. if you don't have a Copilot key, like me, I'm just using a PC. It's not a Surface or a fancy thingy that won't give me a new laptop. You can hit Windows plus C, and that does the same thing. It will open up a prompt box, and this hovering little prompt box will be a great way to make it really quick and easy for you to ask Copilot a question without even having to open up a whole new app and go to that app. And last but not least, but sorry, Carlos, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm just gonna double click on what you just said. I know it sounds so silly, but I freaking love this feature. That Windows C or that Copilot button on that little pop-up. Not because it's just a shortcut to Copilot, but that little plus sign will take you to add content. You can go and interact with specific agents that you created or screenshots. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I'm like a screenshot expert. I take screenshots of everything. It's how I think. I add it. I put it into OneNote. Everything I want is there. It's so simple and it's so stupid. And this little thing, like I see myself, I have not stopped using it all day. I wanted to say that I'm a fan.
In the last several weeks, I have found myself gravitating towards the M365 Copilot app in Windows as my preferred entry point to using Copilot. And now with this prompt box integration and the pop-up, it makes it way easier for me to invoke that and start using it. So I'm right there with you, Carlos. Maybe not. You're like at like an 11. I'm probably at like a 9.5 or a 10, somewhere in there. So you're just above and beyond as always. The bottom one is huge news. If you are in higher ed, you are affected by this. If you are in K-12, you are affected by this. This is the announcement that M365 Copilot and Copilot Chat will be available for users, students 13 plus. This is major news. There are dual enrollment scenarios in higher ed where you have students that are a part of a high ed school that are less than 18 years old. It happens. You have, all kinds of situations. And of course, in K-12, there's a very large percentage of your user base that is not 18 years old. Actually, the majority of them are not 18 years old. Your graduating seniors typically are only going to be in that range. So the inclusion of 13 plus, there is a blog. I put it in the chat earlier that you can go to. It does say on the blog that you can expect this update this summer to roll out. So that is a huge deal. So we'll have more about that in the near future to talk about. So really excited. That also made my son very happy because he was really loving Copilot until it stopped working, and now it works again. So he's pretty pumped. But that is our what's new for today. Hopefully you all found that to be exciting news. I know I did. And let me get us to our feature highlight, which apparently has.
Will wrote a song for us, y'all. Okay, or Copilot and Will.
Opened up my deck at 9, deadline's close, but I'll be fine. Clicked insert, dropped a Lego man. Now my pitch has a master plan. Copilot popped up with a grin. Need a chart, let's drop one in. Now my graphs are looking fly, with a rainbow brick pie in the sky. I'm stacking slides like Lego bricks. My deck's a plastic dream. Copilot's got my back with that AI laser beam. Charts are clicking, blocks are sticking. Transition smooth and tight. Built a spaceship in my slideshow, launched it mid-meeting last night. Boss said make it pop and bold, so I built a dragon made of gold. Slide 5's got a lava moat and a sloop chart on a pirate boat. Copilot's like you want some flair. Added fireworks in midair. Now the boardroom's on its feet, cheering for my Lego suite. I'm stacking slides like Lego bricks.
Tell them how you did it, Will.
Dream. Copilot's got my back with that
Share the
AI
secret
laser
sauce.
beam. Charts are clicking, blocks are sticking. Transition smooth and tight. Built a spaceship in my slideshow, launched it mid-meeting last night. Now I'm dragging charts like minifigs, stacking graphs on plastic rigs. Copilot whispers, add some flair, so I dropped a pie chart mid-air. Animations, oh they glide like Lego wheels on a PowerPoint slide. I'm stacking slides like Lego bricks. My deck's a plastic dream. Copilot's got my back with that AI laser beam. From brainstorms to boardroom tricks, we're clicking through with Lego clicks. Yeah, I built a pitch that's out of sight. With Copilot and bricks, I just might.
Sorry, I thought that was the end of it. But Alex, I don't know if you've ever met
that was phenomenal. I mean,
Alex is who did I agree to hang out with today?
I feel like we got a new second job as DJs of the Lego remix.
Really
good.
quickly before you will introduce Alex, Rob, will you add? Can you add this one to our massive your Tub Tune playlist? Is this a possibility?
Oh, on the YouTube channel?
Yes, with the Sam one that we also have as well.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
we'll get on it. We'll get on it. Rob has a
well,
playlist for some Tub Tunes. If you are familiar with Tubs, technical update briefings, but we can add all of our songs to that playlist.
Well, my people will talk to your people, and we'll get contracts faxed and signed,
get a record deal.
Yeah, you're gonna make
signing
big
rights.
What was that line from the Brady Bunch? You fit the suit, baby.
All right,
Johnny Bravo.
Will you go ahead and introduce Alex, and then we're going to turn this show over to him.
You got unmute to do it though.
And not on mute. There we go.
Yeah, I muted myself so that you didn't hear the sound going, and then I forgot. But no, I was going to put Alex's name into the music itself, like into the lyrics and like introduce him in the song. But I figured since it's going public that he might not appreciate that. But yeah, this is Alex. Are you on Casey's team, Alex, or just work in the same kind of area?
I'm sorry?
Are you on Casey's team?
Or
are you
no.
Just the same?
So Casey is another
teams,
GPM. I'm a GPM on PowerPoint.
Okay.
And so Casey and I work together regularly, collaborating on making sure that Copilot across Word, Excel, and PowerPoint are coherent in what we're working on. So.
Gotcha. So in case you weren't here a month ago, Casey came in. She did an excellent demo on Excel. I asked her, hey, who would you recommend for doing something just like this for PowerPoint? And Alex is the person that she sent me to. So he's got a tall order, but looking forward to hearing all about PowerPoint. I just did a demo about an hour ago on PowerPoint, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I can make it better. So take it away, Alex. Show us how it's done.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. My goal today is to go through a couple high-level features. I should talk about 4 today, and then I want to open up the floor to questions. Really eliciting a discussion. The PowerPoint for Copilot is improving every month with lots of new releases. And with that, I'm actually going to click Present in Teams, and let's see if this version works. What I wanted to go through was actually a classic scenario. My extended family's all wanted to go to the Galapagos. And so why not actually learn a little bit about the Galapagos by using Copilot and building a presentation there? One of the things that we always think about as a PowerPoint team is how do we do less work and still get better results, right? How do you make me look good while I'm presenting? And I don't have to put in hours and hours and hours per slide. And so that's what we're set out to do with our efforts in Copilot. So we're again zooming in to launching the PowerPoint app and getting right into building that deck. One of the things that we found out as we've gone through the presentation journey is that often we get stuck right on the slide 1. It's a blank slide, and we don't even really have a full story yet formed. And that's where we really want to start you on figuring out your narrative, allowing you to figure out your topics, and then let you dive in and start adding more. And this is really an accelerator that we've seen across the board. So many of you might have seen this already, but in case you haven't, I wanted to start actually with narrative builders, getting better with a lot of new features in the last couple of months, and then and layer on to that. So I opened a PowerPoint app, and in the upper left corner there of the slide, there's a drop-down menu that I can click on, and I can create a new presentation. And what's really exciting about this is I can add a prompt, And I can, of course, attach a document or whichever types of information I want to add as what we call grounding, so a reference material for the presentation itself. In this case, I want to learn about the birds in the Galapagos Islands. And I also want to choose a design for my presentation. I highly recommend choosing one of these designs or uploading your favorite template. This really helps give the presentation a really nice look and feel. In this case, I really love this sort of portal or circle design, so I'm going to choose that. And as I go through, it's actually going to start generating topics for me in an outline of my presentation. You can see each of the topics for each of the slides, and it's going through. And as I'm reading through this amazing presentation it's put together that I just had to type a sentence to create, I realized I actually also want to have a little section for my family at the end, or my classmates in this case, about visiting the Galapagos Islands, because you learn all about these great birds, but wouldn't you want to visit too? And so I asked for a topic and added a topic, and it's actually going to come up with a couple of slides that I can present on that topic. And so you're going to see that it generated those 3 slides, and I can then go ahead and hit generate the presentation itself. So this will start loading, and you'll see that it's sort of progressively loading each slide and really generating the actual content behind it. So what you saw was generating topics and the outline of key points. And now we're actually generating the real slides behind the scenes. So you can see it's creating titles for all of the slides. It's then also going to start filling in with the core content underneath as it starts loading. And when we get across this experience, what it's also doing is selecting images and other of the actual slide designs themselves as well. And so as we go through, this is actually going to land in a fully completed presentation with about 24 slides. And at that point is when you get to review it and start editing. So I'll give it a second here. This is actually just a live recording that I did earlier this morning. So this is the real duration of that load. But in less than a minute here, I get a full presentation. And so it's about to wrap up the loading and show the slides. So I can see that in the background happening. One of the things I really love about this is you can also reorder your topics. You can also start playing around with presentation length in that way. So you can, if you have less topics, it's a shorter presentation. If you have more topics, it will clearly be a longer presentation. And so with that, you can see this full presentation was generated using the template that I had selected. And what I notice here as I'm scrolling through is that I actually want to add a few slides. So that was my first step, is narrative builder, creating a whole deck from a prompt. And so that actually is going to transition us to the next feature I want to share, which is slide builder. So not only can you create a whole narrative, but we're actually just recently launched the ability to also generate slides. So in this case, I'm actually going to scroll down to that last section I added around visiting the Galapagos Islands. And in this section, I noticed that there's no instructions about what to pack. It's sort of it's an area I've never been to, and I'm actually going to travel there in the winter. So I want to add a slide about traveling to the Galapagos. What should I pack for traveling to the Galapagos Islands in the winter? So I type this in, and again, you can be pretty. You use just the common phrasing you'd use in any prompt here. In my case, I just typed a quick sentence, and it's now going to generate a slide for me. And there we go. There's an instant slide. The design suggestions are getting enhanced as well. And you can notice that I can choose another design just as quickly and sort of update the style. So I really like the image and sort of want to enhance that look on that slide. So again, really love the ability to just quickly add slides. So again, if you're the type of person who wants to manually create your presentation, but you want to add one more slide about a particular topic, the slide building experience is a really fast way to add those slides using the presentation template that's currently open. So hopefully that's a pretty exciting feature for you to continue to try out and use. And as we go, the next thing I want to show you is rewrite. Is design suggestions. And in this case, I'm actually going to go and show you another way to add slides to your presentation that we just launched. And this will be rolling out into the consumer and education spaces over the next few months here. So it's already available on the commercial side. And so I want to show you this as well. So as we go in, I just added my winter packing list slide. I'm going to scroll to the end of the presentation. And as I do so, I realized that this conclusion slide is a pretty big eye chart. And I want to end on a slide that's a bit more visual in a statement. So when I add a new slide, what you're going to see is a new type of design suggestions in the pane. These are actually like slide templates using your template, but adding in placeholder content. So you can go quickly, just update one of those slides and add your content right in, and voila, you're done. So in this case, I'm adding a statement about the Galapagos Islands. And as I click out of the text box, you can see I have a statement slide instantly formatted for me. So again, it's a really fast way to add slides, get suggestions on different layouts. We're adding more and more of these slide starters, as we call them, in the design suggestion pane with every passing week. So that's going to be something that's really a fast way to accelerate building slides as well. Let's say for a moment that I actually want to change the statement. I just typed this at the top of my mind, and I know I'm not the world's best writer, so maybe I can have Copilot help me. And so actually I'm going to go to the rewrite function and actually go into that text box and rewrite my statement. So what you can see here is I just select that text, and I can just see that Copilot button there and select auto rewrite. We have the ability to also convert to bullets, condense, and make professional. So you can imagine that those are great tools to have in your arsenal as you're building slides and going along. You can just write flow of top of mind flow from text, and then just clean it up after you're done. We're seeing a huge amount of folks really enjoying this as a great way to get slides done faster. And with that was the 4 pieces that I really wanted to highlight, because again, there's lots of details here in what you can do with Copilot for PowerPoint, but these are the big tools that we've seen people use again and again as they are either creating decks from scratch or augmenting existing presentations and adding more slides. So with that, I wanted to segue to a big thank you for using Copilot for PowerPoint. I want your feedback. Please send it. We really do respond and really take great weight in our customer feedback. And with that, I'll also segue into questions. So thank you so much for having me. Anybody have top questions?
Hey, Alex.
Carlos?
I'll ask the first one over here. I'm curious from a prompting perspective, if you thoughts on putting things like as you're kind of in the first step when you're just prompting your way through this, putting some type of parameters. What are your thoughts on if you put something like I want my presentation to be no more than 5 slides or 10 slides? Is that best practice, or would you do it some other way?
Yeah, so today, the best way to sort of steer the length of the presentation is to adjust the number of topics. Now, we are working on adding that steering capability of the amount of slides you want in your presentation, but that's something we're still working on. Hopefully by the end of the calendar year, that'll be available. It's one of our top requests from folks. Edward.
Edward, can you come off mute? There we go.
It was just delayed a little bit. Sorry about that. So are you able to use any local content? So let's say I wanted to pull in a bunch of statistics that my college had put together, combined with some policies, talk about how to adjust those with new compliance activities coming down from the state and feds. So I want to mash up not only external, but internal content.
Yeah. So what I'd highly recommend is making sure you have the right grounding documents. So, putting all the different pieces of content that you want to reference either into a single or multiple Word files is a great way to start. And so just drop it all in there, and then Copilot can reason over it, pull out the information you need. We have a lot of folks kind of using that as a sort of notepad of sorts, right? Just put all the pieces in and then prompt accordingly, right? So if you say, hey, I want an analysis of the federal, state, and local, rules around, I don't know, parking or something, then you could imagine that if the information is present in the grounding document, that the Copilot could reason over that and create a presentation accordingly.
So I just take all of my materials and upload it in a Word document and then have it go out and finish that way. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if those materials are already in a SharePoint folder somewhere and they're file types that we support in grounding, we're adding more and more over time. Then you could just use those directly. But in the case that it is a website or some other format, that you can always just paste it into Word and then use that as a sort of a bridge into grounding for as a reference material.
That's great. We're building some bots with Copilot Studio, tying into our local SharePoint site to try to develop training materials, because we have so much out there, but it's everywhere. So just a different use of it. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We this calendar year are really hoping to add Excel and PowerPoint file grounding as well. So that'll be another great way to add, especially if you're doing training material, if there are presentations, being able to use those and build a new presentation, leveraging that is clearly something we want to enable soon.
You probably could have anticipated this question, but it never fails to arise in any Copilot PowerPoint conversation we ever have. Templates, branding.
Yeah.
The question from Jack about, can a university branded template be preserved without using the organizational asset library in SharePoint? So you can kick off creation by opening the template first, but we're changing that UI a little bit, aren't we?
Well, so if you open your template, that'll be the one that is selected during the presentation creation process. So it'll show that that's the current one. You will be able to browse to your template also in that experience. If not now, very shortly. I have the internal versions, and there's the ones that we actually have published. So I always have a little diff there. So yes, getting your current template open is the key. And yes, if you do have it in an OAL, it's a little bit easier and it shows up more naturally in more places. Your templates will show up in more places within PowerPoint in the backstage file menu, as well as in some of our other pickers. But that said, nothing preventing you from just opening up the template yourself.
Any updates on manipulating fonts or anything like that in PowerPoint with Copilot, or does it inherit the styling that's defined in the template? That's Jack's other question. He has two questions, so he's cut off after this. I'm kidding.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So we try to adhere to the template that's open as much as possible when creating from scratch, unless there's some reason otherwise. We are adding more and more capabilities on the sort of what we call commanding or editing side. So abilities to do formatting. We're trying to bring some of that in the calendar year. We're just working on the engineering scoping of that to see if that will fit in. I know it's another highly requested feature, is to be able to do sort of text formatting on a particular slide or multiple slides at the same time.
Awesome. Come on, y'all. You got more questions, I'm sure. Tell your story.
Yeah. There
we go. Chandra, she got a question. Chandra, you want to come off mute?
Yeah, so I have a question about using Copilot in the current iteration of PowerPoint. Sometimes I can type a prompt, and I'll give you an example. I just did it. I said, add a presenter bio slide at the end. It told me, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can only answer general purpose questions about those. I can't interact with your presentation. So then I reworded it and I said, generate a presenter bio slide, and then it created it and stuck it at the end. So is there some like magic phrasing that we should be using so that it actually does the thing and not say that it can't interact with it? Like what?
Yeah.
How do we fix that?
That is well. So one, I totally hear you. I can understand how that would be both surprising and frustrating potentially to chat one way and it says I can't help you, and another and it works. We're definitely trying to address that. There's some big efforts going on to really improve what we would call intent detection. So when you say I intended to add a slide to the end, we need to understand the variety of ways that you might in chat tell us that's your request. And so today, as you can tell, we don't actually have we are still working on our abilities to detect all the intents correctly every time you chat. And so that you can see how we basically made a fork in the road and chose a different path for the first request versus the second. So we're working to address that. One of the things I will say is that slide builder button works every time. So in the home tab, clicking on that is probably a great shortcut to that. That UI user interface will be improving over time, and so that'll also give you more sort of additional levers to play with beyond the prompt itself when creating a slide, which was potentially also quite useful. So I would sort of steer you that way on slide building for now. But yes, we are definitely working on that sort of being able to improve chat's understanding of what you're asking for.
Connor?
I had a question about, I know it was in a insider blog, maybe was it last week, about using the brand presentation with Copilot and PowerPoint. I know I've kind of briefly touched on it today. I saw it was rolling out to Insider channel on desktop and in web. I was curious what dates or timeline it looks like for when that gets into general availability in monthly, annual channel, and semi and current channel, like looking at the rollout for that, so then we can tell users that they would have access to it. And
Yeah.
one in consumer and then two in EDU.
Yeah, and can you clarify which feature you're specifically talking about? We launched about 4 or 5 this past month, so I'm trying to figure out which one it was.
Okay. It was creating PowerPoints on brand template. I just put it into the chat. Oh, I think Dwayne had posted before.
Let's crack this open because our let's see here. Oh, okay. Create. Yeah. So this is the template picker that we just launched. So we've had the capability to be on brand with your template since launch, but the ability to actually have a gallery where you can browse while using Narrative Builder is something we've added in. And this will be naturally rolling out over the next few months to all the other places that you are currently asking about. So getting into sort of the standard commercial channels that are what we saw MEC or current and into EDU, etc. So we expect it to keep rolling out to all places. Copilot is currently present with the narrative builder feature.
Okay. Sounds perfect. And is it tied to a specific version on, like, if they're using desktop version? Like they would have to have a higher version, or is it kind of random as to how it's assigned to users?
We have different rollout groups, so I don't want to call it random, but it's just sort of a staged rollout sequence depending on the type of user and the builds. So you do need probably a particular build number, but I couldn't quote that off the top of my head for this particular feature.
Okay.
But it's sort of, it is a sort of a quality-driven gates that go through for each sort of new group of people who get the feature.
No worries. Thanks for the confirmation on that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
I think it would be fair to say that updates will hit the web apps usually before they hit the desktop apps. And I think that's kind of universal across the Office suite because we don't have to install new binaries on a computer or patch it with a Windows Update or something to enable a new feature. The web can receive those features at a higher pace or faster pace, I guess we could say. I'm trying to find a blog on, I can't remember where it went, but it was titled something like, "Why do I see an update and my colleague doesn't?" That kind of explains how updates are released for cohorts of users. I'll keep hunting for that. But Tyler, you got your hand up too.
Hi, Alex. Great presentation. I have a question about licensing. So at our university, we've got a few people testing Microsoft 365 Copilot, and we're getting a lot of great feedback. But I think for us, the cost is so high, we couldn't roll it out to the entire department. I was just wondering, has Microsoft considered licensing Copilot separately for specific products and maybe licensing Copilot for Outlook separate from Copilot for PowerPoint, et cetera?
Yeah. So our licensing and sales strategy is unfortunately not an area of expertise that I have. I'm one of the product managers on the PowerPoint team. But I believe your sales reps would be a great place to follow up on that. So I guess if you're in the trial mode, you're already probably connected with somebody from Microsoft who could probably best answer that. If not, I can track somebody down for you.
Tyler, sorry, Carlos. I'll just say a real quick thing, and Carlos probably has an even better answer, but and this is just a Heather assumption only. So just let me be very explicit and clear. In the way that we have the M365 suite, my assumption for Copilot is that it would follow the suite in the same way, and that they wouldn't, but I don't know that to be true. I would imagine in the way that we do see some of our other products separated out, maybe the Copilot, like with Copilot Studio, and like you've got Power Platform things that might be extra. My assumption would be it would follow a similar strategy, but again, I don't know that. That's not information that I've been made privy to at any point. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I just don't. It's not something I've heard. Carlos.
So I'm going to double down on that. I say never. However, I have yet to hear, Tyler, anybody remotely mention that. Now, as I'm big on strategy and looking at how we're releasing things and what we're trying to do or what we're trying to put more emphasis on. And I would say there's I'm seeing Carlos's opinion. I'm seeing a little bit of a shift on a strategy around agents. I think you're going to start seeing a ton more agents specifically come out. And if, I can maybe see in the future more integrations with specific applications and agents, like that would be super cool. I'm not saying this is coming. I'm just saying like I see something like that or more around agents and the agents kind of expanding into other areas than kind of piecing out something like an M365 Copilot. And there's multiple reasons. Like I totally get it and I hear you. Like there's so many faculty members that like live and breathe Outlook or live and breathe PowerPoint, and that's really all they want because 90% of their job is there. However, looking at kind of like the big picture, it just wouldn't do it. It wouldn't do it justice to everything else. And we selfishly, I think, want everybody to use as much as M365 as possible because there's so much awesomeness in Excel and in Outlook and everywhere else. So we don't want to like just put it all in once. I know maybe Alex wants it all in PowerPoint, but we can't let him have it. It's just not gonna happen.
And I guess the other just the more of the logistics side of it, like when we talk about contracts and purchasing, and I know I thankfully am not in the mix of all that on a day-to-day. I just know that it's complicated. I would imagine that may add just another layer of complication. Again, never say never. We don't have the insight. I think if we're looking historically at the way things have come out, my assumption would be that it's going to continue to stay kind of in this suite model, but Who knows?
Who
Who
knows?
knows? I mean, because we might change the name next week, so we might, so you never know. Like we can't always say that. So.
If it does happen, we should somehow find a way to call it the Tyler feature.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see what we can
I
do. We'll
approve.
run
That
that up
sounds
the
great.
chain, Tyler. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, we are right at the end here. We're wrapping it up. Alex, thank you. We appreciate you coming on. We feel so special that we get to have folks that are from the teams that are working on this. Like, y'all, like the fact that they're willing to do this, come talk to us, come share with our communities. We try really hard to get those folks in front of our education community because we want you guys to have the most current, up-to-date, best information possible. And I'm thinking volume purchasing is what that means, Carlos, in reference to the chat, sorry. But thank you, everybody. We will be back in 2 weeks. That's the Q&A and scenario. So that is a separate invite. If you are in the team, which if you're on this call, you should hopefully be in the team. You can access it in there. It's in the files section on that main channel. Hopefully we will see you. And yeah, that's it for today. I'll kick you out of the meeting so we don't have any stragglers who happen to walk away and left the meeting running. Nick, Nick might have been saying goodbye or waving or clapping or something. All right, y'all. Thank you again. We'll get this posted on YouTube for you. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everybody. See you
Thank
next
you.
2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.